You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, Alil Nolan, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
And welcome everybody to another thrilling episode of Trophy Horrors, episode number 676. That's a backwards and forwards number that we got today. And with us, we got a small but elite team. It's not just Alex and I this week, but Alex is a part of that. How you doing, Alex?
Yes, I'm doing okay. The rain stopped a little bit for today, and yeah, I hope everyone out there get this out of the way before we start recording or get too far in the recording. But I hope everyone out there who's a father is having a spectacular Father's Day, or since you're going to hear this later, had a fantastic Father's Day.
Yep. That is, we are indeed recording on Father's Day, and our sole daddy of the group, I guess we'll call him, Tricky, is out on assignment. This time, I think in Egypt, to garner us some listeners.
Well, you might want to keep him away from the Middle East because, there's some stuff going down over there. I know Egypt's close. It's right there, knocking on the door.
Yeah, we got a rescue team ready to go in case we need to extract him.
Do we really want to spend the money on that? Do we really have the money to spend the money? Can't we just let Tricky swim back?
It just sounds good for me to say. I didn't actually coordinate anything.
Also, since Tricky doesn't play Helldivers 2, I don't know how he knows anything about extraction. Unless, Is Division 2, is that an extraction, or is it just...
Well, yeah, you call it.
I think in the dark zones it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so he may have some knowledge of that, I'll say.
And speaking of extractions, hot from his assignment in Azerbaijan, we extracted Yield for this episode.
Well, I'm back, at least for the moment. I may get called off on assignment again.
And with your tech working.
Yield comes on every week and he's like, where the fuck did they send me last week? He's like, time to find out where they send me.
Where in the world is Yield?
Yeah, it's truly an exciting adventure every week. But with that said, we're going to get the show moving on because we've got a packed agenda and I want to make sure we all get to bed in time. So hopefully Tricky comes back to an empty room. Anyways, our updated trophy counts is we got Tricky Mick sitting at level 968 with 34,520 trophies and 999 platinums. He has still not gotten his 1,000th plat, so we'll hopefully have him back next week. Alex?
Level 522, total trophy count of 10,667 with a platinum count of 194 in 193 games.
All right, Yield?
Currently a level 530 with a trophy count of 11,179 and a platinum count of 214.
I am still at level 222 with 1,337 trophies and 0 platinums. I have not had time to turn on the PlayStation or desire to turn on the PlayStation for the past couple weeks, so we're going to sit there like that for a while. And Sid is level 894 with 27,367 trophies and 851 platinums. And our boy Gareth sent me our rarity update this week. Tricky, nope, that's just him. That's just Tricky telling Gareth to send it to me because Tricky wouldn't be able to make it today. So, buckle in, folks. Here's the update. The lead in Division 1 has changed hands again, which now seems to be happening on a weekly basis. This time, Diego has moved up from 3rd to 1st, thanks to the highest score of the week. 161 this time, taking him to 2,089 and a lead of 53. Pee-wee stays in 2nd, overtook Marky Frazier, who drops 2 places to 3rd. These two are very tight on 2036 and 2034 points. Yield was the latest contestant to break the 1,000 point mark. Congrats, Yield.
Yay!
His score of 21 kept him 6th behind 1,014, which was MZ and Redbeard Rick. Tricky still remains outside the relegation places. A score of 17 moved him to 466. Alex lost a bit of ground, scoring 4 points and moves to 434. Resident Daryl and Big Bernardo B occupy the final 2 places and look to be heading to Division 2 next month. In Division 2, the top score of the week goes to X Nightmare 317 with 96, which kept them in 4th. Dodge Williams also scored impressively this week with 84, cementing his position 5th spot. The top 3 remain unchanged and can look forward to a place in Division 1 next season. Doc Chicken, Cyticist, and Affectatious Doc occupy those places. Rare's Trophies of the Week awarded 2 in the 5th spot, MZ Nitro with Where Are the Logs in SnowRunner at 5.99%. 4th spot, Dodge Williams with Ultra Synchronicity in Use Your Words at 4.66. 3rd goes to X Nightmare 317 for Spiky Bikey in Lonely Downhill Mountains at 4.05%. 2nd is Diego with Gun Game in COD Black Ops 3 at 2.07%. Pee-wee in 1st spot with Los Santos Legend at 2.01%. Plat shoutouts go to Pee-wee in GTA 5, Gaz Davis in 11 in C Smash VRS, Crook 09 with Eternal Evil, X Nightmare 317 with Resident Evil 3, The Brain 76 and Oblivion Remastered, Dat One Seagal with Sly Cooper and Thievius Raccoonus, Dupes with The Precinct. Finally, Murray 2011 with Cat Quest. Final announcement, and that's the winner of May Plat of the Month. Full results to be published on the Trophy Loading group on Monday, but the winner by an overwhelming majority is Redbeard Rick with Stardew Valley. Congratulations to him and all of the nominees. I didn't take a breath during that entire announcement, believe it.
Holy cow.
That was a lot of information.
Holy announcement, man.
That's part of the reason, only a small part, of why you make such a great host, because you can say all of that without taking a breath, and generally the main host talks a lot, so.
Yeah, I gotta change that.
What, the not taking enough breaths, or?
No, the host talking the most, because I could definitely change that.
Well, I don't know, for our topic of the week, you definitely want to be the one talking the most, because, you have...
Oh, I will be.
Yeah, all right.
I will be. But, Yod, you weren't here last week, or I think the week before, or maybe even the week before that. I can't remember. It's been a while. Why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
So I was at my brother's last night, and we fired up the Rare Replay, I think. We were playing some Rare games on his Xbox. So we played RC Pro Am 2, played some Cobra Triangle, we played some Conker's Bad Fur Day, because neither one of us had played that, so we were messing around with that. I have been playing, I went back and played 16-bit soccer and 100%ed that. I been playing fired up Firefighter Simulator, the squad, because Nitro has it, and I got somebody to play the multiplayer with. We fired back up our Friday co-op sessions with Nitro, the Brain 76, Homer Gets Stuffed, and myself, and we've been playing some Payday 3. I have been spending a crap ton of time in RoadCraft. That came out. I've been playing it, very much enjoying it. It's a chill game, but also you can get kind of annoyed and overwhelmed with the stuff that needs done or how you want to do it, because it's kind of open to how you tackle your mission. And then there has been a game that I've played a little bit in. I haven't been able to dive back into it yet. But there's this game that I've been keeping an eye on. It was, maybe this time last year? Maybe early fall? That this game launched on PC. I've been having an eye on it since it was in early access. Just hoping that they would eventually make it to PlayStation. And I saw it was on Twitter. I saw a tweet about they were launching on PlayStation on June 10th. And so I got home from work and I purchased it. And this game is called Star Trucker. And I've enjoyed what I've played so far. Way more immersive than what I thought it would be. But really impressive for a two-man team. If Alex enjoyed those kind of games, I would say that he would enjoy the aesthetics and the scenery, especially since it has photo mode. But yeah, And I want to say there was something else, but I don't think there was. I think that's all I've been playing.
Sounds like you've been busy, but not with a lot of games.
No, I've spent RoadCraft come out 2 weeks ago. I've put in 70 hours already. And I did pick up. So I did pick up the DLC for cereal cleaners. So hopefully, if not the end of this month, next month, I'll dive back into that to try to 100% that game.
Okay. All right. So busy with few games, but spending a lot of time in them.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I did play some Helldivers too. I did.
Okay.
I did do that. Nitro and I. Well, I played with Prepared Dire Scum and the Brain 76, but we've been helping. One, the new War Bond came out. We were finishing the old War Bond as well, but we've been helping Nitro get his more difficult trophies and get him through the game. And so, yeah, I knew I was forgetting a game. And so that's all I'm playing. I do like the new War Bond. I think it's way better than the previous War Bond.
Yeah, I haven't dug into that one yet to really make heads or tails of it.
The assault rifle isn't bad. I'm messing with it. I wish it had more clips or a bigger clip, but that's just my play style. I'm currently trying to save up some super credit or collect some super credits because I want to try the handgun. Both the Brain 76 and Nitro have gotten the handgun, and they said it's nice.
I'm annoyed because I saw that they have an electric guard dog now. So evidently we're getting every element of guard dog except flame.
Except fire. Well, maybe that'll be the next War Bond. But
Let's hope.
I've heard though. I was the Brain 76 posted a video to the chat group or the text group that we're in with him, and this guy was given a rundown of the latest War Bond, and he was the one that said, the assault rifle and the handgun were good. So I was like, okay, good. I've been wanting an assault rifle. I kind of stick with either my sickle or the cookout. Is kind of the two main weapons that I run. I'm like, I want an assault rifle, so I wanted to try that. But he said the electric guard dog really isn't. It seems to be more of a hindrance than a help, like worse than the other guard dogs. And you better bring your electric armor, or you're just going to fry not only yourself but everybody else.
Yeah, and that gets me back to the idea that the dogs, for the most part, except I think when I'm fighting the Illuminate, have been harming more than helping. Because I can't tell you how many times a guard dog has just flown and capped me right in the side of the head. It's like, guys, your dog killed me again.
Right? Yeah.
So and that's with precision weaponry. The arc is not precision. And I just see that team killing more often than not.
Yep, I haven't unlocked it yet, but I'll unlock it. But I really, if I use it, it'll be one of those missions where we're just kind of like, all right, well, be warned, I'm going to use it. And I might use it a handful of times, but that's it. I kind of stick with the, if I use one, I'll use the laser or the assault rifle one.
Okay. Yeah, I usually go with the assault rifle. It seems to be okay, especially, like I said, on Illuminate. It takes out the vote list pretty easily. All right. Next up, Alex, why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
Well, I have been playing mostly and really all of this one game, which is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Getting further into that, it says on the PlayStation dashboard that I've been playing for 8 hours. It feels longer than that, but I'm 2 bosses in, heading toward the 3rd boss, and in general, I'm having fun with the game. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why this game was considered a flop, or it didn't do as well as Ubisoft wanted it to, or Ubisoft considered a failure in any way. It's a good game. I guess maybe it just didn't they missed their projections and thought maybe the game would sell better than it did. But I mean, it's a really good game. If you like the Metroidvania style game, you'll definitely like this. Like I said last week, my first Prince of Persia game, and I mean the combat is fun. Definitely learning new combos and stuff along the way. Like I said, I also love the memory aspect of it, where you can create the memories where you come back to an area later. Which is kind of the bane of anyone's existence in a Metroidvania game. I like the combat challenges and the platforming challenges in Metroidvania games, but having to remember everywhere to go back to is a little annoying. But with their memory system in this, that definitely helps. And in general, like the maps, and I will say, if the map is done well, that it can definitely indicate where you haven't gone, all new areas where you can find later on in the game when you get in certain powers. So, but yeah, like I said, fought a few bosses, really like the design of the enemies, like the bosses and the larger like mini boss enemies. They all look cool. They got cool designs. My only gripe is with the second boss that I just beat, that too many phases, too many attacks, especially for a second boss. Like, I love the way that it looked, but I mean, it was difficult because of just how many things you had to remember and recognize and recall and get used to. It's like there's 3 phases and there's new attacks in every phase and multiple new attacks. And it's like, okay, it's basically you beat it phase by phase until you can finally overcome it. But I will say, if you're struggling with the game, it does you go the options and you can turn down difficulty. There's all different kinds of sliders, like how much damage the enemies do and stuff like that, to where you can mess with those to make the experience easier if you just want to get through the game. But in general, I mean, challenging game with, challenging combat, I don't know what else to say. I find myself every once in a while, like I said, I played Tales of Kenzera. Been a while since I played this style of game, so I think, it's just the right time for me to play The Lost Crown, especially right before my PlayStation Plus runs out here in July, so I want to run through this game. There's also a DLC for it, so I'm trying to run through that as well, because you know me, I got to get 100% of the trophies, but overall, pretty decent amount of content in the game. I'm about 33% through, and, I still have a ways to go. Like I said, I'm on my 3rd boss, 8 hours in. I think for the Platinum Trophy, it's like 25 to 30 hours. So, I mean, these games, despite the fact that they are not, these big open world experiences, these Metroidvania games generally pack a lot of content in. So, I'm enjoying the Lost Crown, and looking forward. The next boss that I have is the giant snake boss. So I'm very excited about that, because that's one of the pictures in the media package that I saw that's like, oh, hey, that looks pretty cool. I'll try that. So, yeah, just challenging myself in Prince of Persia and enjoying my first experience there. And Metroidvania fans, if you like those style of games, I would definitely recommend this game.
Alrighty. As for me, so as you can imagine, most of my time this week was spent on my Nintendo Switch 2. A lot of playing the Mario Kart World. Kalai actually came over for a little while, and we just did some Grand Prix, and handily getting my ass handed to me by the PC.
We talked about this.
Yeah. Grand Prix. I'm sorry.
All right, there we go.
Then I also loaded up more Tears of the Kingdom.
Hey, you're playing some Mario Kart. Someone's going to be a prick by shooting some stuff at you from behind.
Yeah, especially Kalai. She smacked me with 2 red shells. Like, fuck off.
I'm assuming Mario Kart World still has the pickup where it's 3 red shells that go around you. It's like at first it's like a barrier, like an old Mega Man boss barrier, and then as time goes on, they shoot them off and it kind of frees them up. But
yes, but they introduced a couple other items, including hammers. So like Hammer Bros, it launches like 4 or 5 hammers ahead of you or behind you that crash into the ground and make obstacles. They have a mushroom, so it's not the speed mushroom, it's a growth mushroom. It makes you gigantic, able to knock other players out of the way. And what else did they add? They added the cold flower, which is just the fire flower with cold.
Also, you've turned it into a block of ice.
Yeah. And then there's the golden shell, which when you launch it, it launches, it homes in. I don't remember who it homes in. It's definitely not first. It's not like the blue shell. But as it's traveling, it creates a trail of coins for you to pick up, which is nice. There's also a coin box, which when you use it, it pops above you and you jump and hit it to release coins into the race. And I can tell you, I've been playing this for about 2 weeks now. I have yet to get the fucking lightning bolt once. The bane of my existence, probably my most hated item in this game, is the lightning bolt, because the amount of times I've been screwed over by somebody using the lightning bolt is too many to count already.
You know,
not
Matt,
that I'm bitter or anything.
No, never. No one would ever be bitter playing Mario Kart. But
No, never.
I'm waiting for the day when we get that 3 blue shell power up where you can hit place 3, place 2, and place 1 right in a row. Just bam, bam, bam.
Don't give Nintendo any ideas.
You know that's been brought up. So they're like, so you know that blue shell.
So have you, my brother and I were talking over the weekend about this, and he said he's seen something where I guess you can grind on any rail.
Yes.
And that there is like some type of exploit to where you can do that and like it doesn't slow you down. You just continue. You either gain speed or something. Anyway, he was really annoyed by it because he just seems like it. Oh no, it was that, and then the rewind feature. He was saying that in the Grand. I don't know if it was in the Grand Prix. The video that I saw of somebody doing it, he was driving from one set of races to another in the open world part, and he showed the rewind feature. So my brother was for sure if it was in a Grand Prix or not, but he was talking about how somebody was about to get nailed with a blue shell, and so they rewound it, and then was like, oh, I can steer over here and dodge it. And he was just like, that's just like not fun or unfair if you can always just rewind to dodge everything. So how does that work for somebody who's played it?
So the rewind feature only rewinds for you. So let's say you got off course or something like that, or missed a shortcut. Instead of just dealing with it, you can rewind. But the problem is it only rewinds you. It doesn't rewind everybody else in the race. So while I guess it'll help to avoid those blue shells or something like that, it's still allowing others to catch up to you. Now, I guess it's useful if you're so far in advance that, you don't worry about people catching up to you. I'm never in first enough to worry about that. So I don't know. That's interesting. It's a thought, but there's also other things that you can do. They now have, the drift boosting where you drift it, you build up boost and then take off.
Yeah.
There's now the ability to, when you're going in like a straight line, you can down boost, meaning instead of drifting, you jump and hit back or something like that, and your wheels kind of camber out and you start building boost just by going in a straight line. So there you do that, and it allows you to jump, which in some cases may allow you to jump over a green shell. The rails, you can, when you do the railing grinds, it builds up boost similar to as if you're doing a drift. And then you can flip off those onto other rails or even wall ride now, which builds up boost. So there's a ton of technical tricks that the game introduced in this version. So there's a lot to it, and I'm not good enough to do much of it.
Gotcha.
And it's still fun because they have so many modes. They've got battle modes. They've got Grand Prix, Alex. They've got the open world. They've got time trials. It's, I dare say, worth an $80 game for how much they put in here. There's a ton of characters unlock. And instead of like what they did in Mario Kart 8, where you could choose the chassis, the wheels, and your glider, It's now just the kart. It's your rider and your kart. They simplified it. They found that in Mario Kart 8, most people were going with like a single setup anyways. Here, they just simplified it, and it's now just your kart. So I'm still having fun with it. It's still a fun party game. And in true Nintendo fashion, the nice thing is I had bought the Pro controllers with the system, but now the Pro controllers from the original Switch can work with the Switch 2, meaning I don't have to give somebody the Joy-Cons when they come over to play.
Nice.
And that's just a neat little feature. Also, like I said, I put in some time with Tears of the Kingdom, just doing extra exploring. There's a potential that I might want to go back and restart the game just to play through it with the official upgraded, enhanced frame rates, visuals, things like that. But I haven't decided yet. More Hyrule Warriors, as well as I did some Pokemon Scarlet, just walking around. Now what they do is with the mass outbreaks, I shit you not, there's like 30 or 40 Pokemon in a field just hovering about. It's crazy the amount that they could put on there. So that's fun. And
definitely didn't used to see that in the old Pokemon games. Even Sword and Shield,
No.
the game previous to Scarlet and Violet, there were not nearly as many Pokemon. I mean, there were maybe a few on the screen at a time in the wild area.
And it helps with shiny hunting because you're just in a field like the one I hit was Porygon. It was a outbreak of Porygon. There were 30 or 40 of them. And I'm just walking around. I didn't see any shinies because I'm not that lucky. But I've seen videos of people going out there just going to outbreaks and looking for shinies because there's so many on screen. It just increases the chance of a shiny showing up.
Do they appear shiny in the overworld?
Yes.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that trend started with Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Because it used to be you would have to go into the encounters to see if they were shiny or not.
Yeah, it was either that or Pokemon Legends that they did that.
Well, Let's Go Pikachu
because
and
I know
Eevee came out first. So
yeah, but I don't remember it being in that game.
It was.
So obviously, your memory's better than me.
No, I hunted shiny Pokemon in that game, so I definitely remember seeing like gold Geodude and green Dragonites flying around the screen. So
okay. That was pretty much it on the Switch. And then when I go over to PC side, I did some more Monster Hunter because they have that Capcom partnership going on where you can earn tickets to become a Kuma. But the other game I did play just for one round, just real quick, was Deep Rock Galactic. It was funny because my buddies were like, hey, let's do this game. I haven't played it in a while. I looked on my Steam. I had not touched Deep Rock Galactic since 2021. I was like, wow, I really thought I remembered it much earlier. But as usual, I just played the Digger because he has the flamethrower, but I was leveling up the cryo gun. And it's fun to freeze bugs in their tracks and let my teammates kill them as we're doing the defense mission. But it was nice getting back into the game. I forgot how much I enjoy it, just exploring and frantically trying not to kill my teammates by burning them alive. And that is what I have been playing this week. Other than, Homemaker, trying to get our house ready. I finally finished my final door this week. I had painted 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 doors in this house in a matter of like 2.5 weeks.
Man,
insane.
I feel for you. Are they 6-panel?
Yeah, most of them, yes. Which it's such a pain.
All you can roll is the rails.
Well, I bought the 6-inch,
the flat panel, I guess, on the panels.
Yeah, I bought the 6-inch foam roller, which allowed me to get in on some of those crevices early. And then after a while, I just went to a paintbrush. I was like, I might as well just slop it on there and roll in. But it feels better. And I'm like, man, why didn't I do this earlier? They actually look kind of good. Alrighty, moving on to the news. And this one I wanted to put on because this is a PlayStation podcast for the most part. I'm the heathen that brings in the PC, Switch, and Xbox stuff. And this article coming from Video Games Chronicles highlights Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Designer reveals hidden minigame that's gone undiscovered for 4 years. And the reason I bring this up is because I like the idea of like these hidden eggs. Something not trophy related. Because if it was trophy related, I assume it would have been found years ago.
Yeah, everybody would have known about it.
Yeah. So they say to find it, players have to reach the space station Xerkes and go to the entrance where they'll find no weapon sign at either side of the door. Players have to shoot the left sign 5 times, then the right sign 4 times, and then the left sign 13 times. After this, there's no confirmation that the unlock has taken place, though. When the player enters Xerkes, they're able to go to the mechanical bowl in the station and hold L2 to trigger the minigame. The minigame is only in a prototype phase and is therefore very rough. Players use the right analog stick to keep their balance on the bull, and once they fall off, there's no animation showing it because the minigame was never properly completed. Instead of removing it, they chose to hide it in the game, instead opting to reveal it at a later date if nobody found it. And there was a little video on it. It's cute. I like stuff like that. And you go, obviously nobody found it, and now they're telling it, so everybody's going to show it. But it's kind of like that stuff. It's like, you put it in the game, how do you even think about this? And I go back to the original Legend of Zelda. Like, how the hell was I supposed to know I'm supposed to burn that single bush to open up a stairwell? And it's somebody's uncle at Nintendo that had to have given you the hint to look at that. Other than that, I don't know. Alex, do you ever think about looking for stuff like in a random way?
I mean, I do, but the problem is that, I like to seek out all the collectibles. I mean, as a trophy hunter, a lot of times you have to, but I feel like I've played enough games to be able to know where secrets are. Like, we played enough games to know, like, if there's a waterfall, check behind that waterfall, because chances are there's like a cave or something with some good stuff in there. So you just kind of learn where, things might be. Now, of course, in like certain examples, like this example, like they hid this away with the intent to hide it away, so you were not supposed to find it. You could, but a lot of these things are hidden with no reasonable way for people to find them. Going back to Arkham Asylum and the hidden room in that game, which basically told you and basically showed where the series is going, foreshadowing and basically spelling out, hey, we're going to do Arkham City. There was the wall that you had to put multiple explosives on. There was no signs that it was cracked or damaged or that it was like discolored or anything. There's no visual cue that you could get through that wall. It was just later found out that, and I can't remember if it was the developers or not, but basically nobody found the secret for a long time, for over a year. That's because you probably weren't ready to find it. You weren't really supposed to find it until they told you about it. And that's the same here. So, I mean, yeah, there's definitely some secrets that you can happen across, but if these developers want to hide something, they could easily hide something in a game, and you would. I mean, a lot of these games, even though Ratchet and Clank, they're massive, they're huge. So you can hide something, in the intent to hide it, and have no one ever find it, and that would just be the case. So, I mean, it's always interesting within like to go back and look at these games that we've gone through and we've beaten, and we maybe got the platinum trophy, maybe we did multiple playthroughs, and then you find out something new about it. That's always a nice thing, even if you didn't find it. To hear that there's something else brand new that you didn't know was there is always kind of a cool thing.
Yield, any thoughts, but with the question of, do you ever try going to hunt stuff like that, or just randomly trying to unlock things?
Well, to agree with what Alex was saying, I've played a lot of games, we've played enough games that there are certain things that you try, especially like when you're in a game and you're like, oh, a secret is hidden by this. Oh, okay, well now I'll try every single one I come across. Or, oh, that wall doesn't look like the rest of them. I bet there's something behind it. So as you've gamed as long as we have, you've learned some tricks of where they may hide stuff. But as for this mini game, unless there was some hint in the game, well, obviously no one found it, but you're not randomly going to shoot the side of a door 5, 4, and then 13 to unlock a mini game. So that's really cool that nobody found it, and then now the developers are like, hey, look, we hid something and you didn't find it. I agree with Alex. That's cool. I try to find stuff, but like to sit there and try to figure out a code for it, I'm not that smart to do it. But I do try to walk around and if I know there's something hidden because the game told you, hey, there's something around here, but you got to find it. I'll try to see if I can figure it out on my own before resulting to find somebody who has found it.
The only thing I ever lucked into was on Road Rash 2 on the Sega Genesis. I was doing something in that game. You could put in a code to get like bikes or money or something. And I forget what I was doing, but I was on the code screen and I dropped the controller when I was putting something in, and it accepted the code. And I was like, that's weird. And then I went and I did a race. And then after the race, because nothing happened after I put in the code, after the race, I suddenly had a bike called the Wild Thing and a ton of money. I was like, what the hell was this? And then I shut the game off. I made sure to record the code, and I started up a game fresh, and I did it again and verified it actually worked. It was like the only thing I ever stumbled upon in an actual video game. I was like, wow.
So saying that reminded me, I don't know if it was Ghosts and Goblins. It was something like that on the NES. So I was typing in a code to continue from wherever, I had left off. And I screwed the code up. And back then they didn't have a backspace in the code, if you remember. Some of the games didn't. This one did not. So I got mad and I just spammed, I think it was N, the rest of the way to finish the code. And it put me on some level. I have no idea where I was at. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's never worked before. So I guess I did find that.
Alex, you ever find any weird or awesome stuff in a game?
Not that I can really remember. Just though, to add to the conversation one last time, this secret is largely useless because, like they said, they hid this because they didn't finish the game and they didn't want to worry about removing it, so they just hid it. But what it does do is it does get people talking about Ratchet and Clank again. So it may be a little strategic that they release this information because, like, you know what? Me personally, I think it's about time to start, developing a new Ratchet and Clank maybe for the PlayStation 6. So, but it definitely, I think, is, who knows? I don't know how this came up in conversation, but I don't think you just release this information just kind of randomly. There has to be some kind of, hey, let's get people talking about Ratchet and Clank again.
Which is never a bad thing to talk about. I love that game.
Yeah, no, it's, like I said, it's about time. It's about time. And I'm not talking about Crash 4.
All right. Next article coming from GameSpot. GameStop CEO says the company's future isn't games. The company is going deeper into trading cards.
You know what, Matt?
So
I'm sorry, I have to correct you. We could have stopped earlier. GameStop CEO says the company's future isn't. And we can just go on from there.
Well, I think he's taking... I think he's taking the title literally. It's not GameStop, it's Game Stop.
Stop.
Like,
stop game.
So basically, he's just saying that the company has been steadily expanding its Pokemon card services, and as of last month, GameStop has created over 1 million cards with Professional Sports Authenticator. So they talk about how they constantly sell out of those big booster packs. They've been doing a lot of launches recently, telling how many, kind of like a console. But it's you have so many, they allow you to buy them like one at a time. It's the point being is, I think we all kind of saw this coming years ago, is that with their slow change and low mark up on games, they're really looking for those low cost, high margin items. And those are the plushies, the pops, the tchotchkes. It's getting kind of crazy out there. And while if there comes to a day that they stop selling games, fairly certain I'm stopping going to GameStop. Alex, I know you haven't been a fan for a while.
No, of course, with the transition to digital, I buy all my games digitally now. So for the last 2 generations, there hasn't really been a reason for me to go buy a physical game. Well, aside from the Switch, I bought all physical games for the Switch. So, but for the PlayStation, I've been all digital. So I haven't really had a reason to go into a GameStop or any other brick and mortar store to buy a game, but just their practices. I've not been a fan. I would rather go shop at, Walmart. I mean, look, I get every business has their own shit in the closet, but quite frankly, like, I just have never been a fan of GameStop. I don't feel like nothing against the employees, but I just don't like the practice of, going in there years ago and trying to buy a new game and they hand you an open game. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. So I've not been a big fan of GameStop. I understand why they made the business choices they did, but I quite frankly kind of had always hoped that GameStop would just kind of disappear because I felt like they kind of deserved to disappear.
Listen, I know they're run by assholes, but the people who work the store are doing the things to make sure they don't get fired. And I always say, if my recent example of going into Walmart isn't enough to say why I go to GameStop, it's because on the Switch 2 launch day, I'm going in there. I'm trying to get the 256 meg or 256 gigabyte SD card, and I'm sitting there waiting. I'm looking down the aisles. I'm not seeing anybody. I'm having difficulty finding somebody to try and get me the card because I know if they got to get it out of the case, pay for it, and then I go walking up front being treated like a thief just trying to get through the store with my purchase. GameStop, I just go in, get what I need, say no to all the stuff, and then walk out. Yield, any thoughts on GameStop's future on stopping games?
I'm not shocked by it. I haven't been a fan of GameStop's tactics, I guess I want to say. I wasn't happy when they did away with my physical copy of Game Informer and did that. Then my final straw was when they was like, use all your points or lose them. And I don't think I've bought a game from GameStop since. I used my points up just so that way I didn't lose them. And then after that, I don't think I've bought one. I've bought my last handful of the games all from Amazon. Now it also helps I had an Amazon gift card, so that helps. But I've just been kind of like, I have no reason to go into GameStop like I used to because I don't. The benefit was I was earning points that I could use down the line or for whatever I wanted. Now I don't have that added bonus for that, so I can buy my games wherever I want now.
Yeah, and part of it is impulse control where I go, all right, I want to be able to play my game immediately, therefore I go digital, but then I know the future of digital. My Steam library stares at me every day going, one day I might not be here. And then having a physical game sometimes makes me feel a little better. And it's just, it's that impulse control of being like, all right, if I just order it off Amazon, I know it'll get delivered. Hopefully it gets delivered release day. But it's one of those things that GameStop has not failed me other than when I go in, the game's not available because I didn't pre-order, and then I go buy it digitally. It's like, okay, there's options, but I get it. No, and this is my own little story of visiting Walmart today with V, and I'm in line and we're checking out, and it was definitely a people of Walmart moment where a woman is on the phone talking very loudly about things that I'm like, you sure that's a conversation you want to have in public? Okay. I was like, oh man, this is why I pay a little extra and go to Target.
Well, here you think about GameStop. They were for a while just a game specialty retailer. That's what they specialized in. Now you can't say that because they don't really focus on games as much. And a lot of the extra stuff they go in there and sell, like action figures or, Pokemon cards or amiibos, you can find elsewhere. So it's like, so you used to exist and, people wanted to go in there because you were a specialty retailer. Now you're just like everybody else. Why do I want to go there? To go to shop with you when if I'm going to like the grocery to shop at wherever, if like I go shop at Walmart or picks up some stuff from Target, house supplies, I could just buy some stuff there. Now, granted, Target doesn't have a great supply of games anymore either, so shopping there is oftentimes miserable if you're trying to buy video games. But it's just the niche that GameStop had in the market is just kind of been blurred as they become like everybody else because the way they did things didn't work out.
I hope though that from the death of GameStop in the games department that there will be somebody else that maybe they don't deal with the used games, maybe they do. But in a sense of they bring back that spirit of a gaming store. Because I would love to do that, to be like the old GameStop, where this is my store. This is where I come to do my hobby. Instead of I I can go anywhere. This is where I want to come. And I kind of hope that opens the door for somebody else to go, I'm going to do that because they did a bad job.
I think what GameStop proved is that store can't exist anymore these days. Or it's going to be like you have your locally owned indie shops that sell games. You know, maybe you'll find some like older games, stuff like that. You're not going to find a selection of new games, but it'll be your place where you can go play like a trading card game on a Tuesday night or a Sunday night or whatever. Or you can go in and look at some like really cool like games that, you know, retro games that you want to buy, you know, kind of for collectors. But I think the sad story of GameStop is that model doesn't work. Like selling new games and only selling new games does not work. Because you had a company that was making money, a lot of money on, you know, margin-wise selling used games. And, you know, when somebody would turn in a used game, giving them a pittance for it. But that just hasn't worked out for them. You know, it's not like people aren't still buying games. It's just the way that we buy games. A lot of us, the way we consume games is a lot different now. So even if people are still playing a lot of games, I don't think a store like GameStop works anymore. I don't think it's just a GameStop thing. I think that model doesn't work anymore.
Well, and that's the issue with it. It's because the markup on games is not there. You know, they'll buy a game for back in the day, $54, and they'd sell it for $60. You can only buy so much on that type of margin. So it's a matter of, I understand why they're moving to do the things that they do. It just sucks because it kind of takes away what you're really going there for, at least what most of us are going there for.
Yeah, I mean, you look into another business like Walmart or something like that store, it's not like all of their money, all of their profit is based on games. You know, so if your margin on games is slim, GameStop is fucking screwed. But when it comes to Walmart, they sell you groceries, they sell you clothes, they sell you furniture, they sell you automotive equipment, they sell you toys, they sell you board games, they sell you video games. They can take a hit like that and still make money off games, whereas another store that is just only games, their margin isn't mixed around, it's just their margin is on the games. And that's why, obviously, they turn to stuff like used market, because the sale of new stuff isn't necessarily where the most money is made.
Well, speaking of money being made, coming from Video Games Chronicles, Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Hideaki Nishino said that subscribers are increasingly choosing their premium and extra tiers recently, giving a nice little fancy chart showing that in fiscal year 2022, premium and extra were adopted at 17 and 13% respectively. Then fiscal year 2023, premium went up by 2%, extra went up by 3%. And fiscal year 24, premium went up by 3% and extra stayed the same. However, so that means that 38% of subscribers are subscribed to PlayStation Plus premium or extra. Jesus Christ, that was a tongue twister. So this is all despite them giving us increased prices of their service with their high quality games. I don't know, yield. It's nice that they're showing that it's growing, but that doesn't tell the whole story of how many people are subscribed overall. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, I can't speak for you, and I know Alex was looking to re-up. I'm on the outside looking in. I like the idea of having, you know, the ability to play the certain game, the older games, the PS1, PS2 games, and some of them having trophies. I really like that idea. I just can't, in my mind, justify the price. And maybe that's just me being a tightwad, and I haven't really sat down and broke it down, but they haven't done anything at any of those tiers that make me want to go, I want to spend that extra money for that tier. I'm perfectly fine where I'm at with the handful of games that they give me. Some I like, some I don't. And I like PlayStation Plus for the game discounts that they drop every so often, you know, the really good discounts. because you're a Plus member. That's what I really like it for.
Yeah, it's just you have to buy enough to make it worth the while, and I know for me it definitely isn't. Alex, I know your time's ticking on that. We discussed this last week.
Well, I mean,
but any?
I mean, the headline or what you wrote on here on the agenda says Sony says it will continue to adjust PlayStation Plus pricing as more players choose higher tiers. So I guess if we don't want them to increase the price, we don't go to the higher tiers. Is that what I am to understand?
It sounds like the way. Maybe this is me being the optimist, even though I know that's the wrong look. But like maybe if more players start choosing those higher tiers, they'll lower the price. They'll say, "Oh, bulk discount."
Oh, they're never going to lower the price. They're never going to, or should we say, according to Tricky, increase the discount. They're never going to do that again. These prices are what they are, and they're only going to go up. But
yeah.
So yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me I shouldn't. If I have an issue with what you're charging or what you're putting on the service, I shouldn't go the higher tier and I should just bust down to Essential. No, I mean, look. Personally, I got more enjoyment out of the extras game catalog than I did the premium tier classic catalog. I played a handful of games from the classic catalog and I've enjoyed getting trophies in them. You know, your Twisted Metals, your Ghost Hunter, your War of the Monsters, all that kind of stuff. But realistically, the games that you want to play are, few and far between. There's only a handful of games you would really want to go back and play for trophies. And that's just really, like this year, the only game I played is War of the Monsters, and we're six months in. We're all halfway through the year. And they're just not adding enough to premium for me to want to play. So really, the extras catalog has really been where I've been doing most of my gaming. So, but again, like, you're betting on, by buying a year early, you're betting that they're going to add games you want to play, and that may not always be the case. So, for me, right now, premium is a no, because unless they announce, like, hey, we're adding Twisted Metal Black next month with a Platinum Trophy finally, alright, fuck, I'll re-up. But otherwise, like, I can't really see me getting much enjoyment out of the premium tier, because I'm not playing for the trials, because, let's be real, they're just demos. I know people will say, Alex, no, they're not demos, they're different, it's the whole game unlocked for you, but you only have a certain amount of time. Well, numbnuts. You can only, unless you're a speedrunner, you can only get through a certain amount of that game in that time. So to me, it's a demo because you can't get through, you don't have full access to the game. They may tell you have full access, but you got to time them, which essentially makes it a fucking demo. So nobody's paying for premium for trials. And then the classic catalog, if you're not going to put games in there I want to play, there's no point in that. So I guess I'm just going to go down to Essentials so I can still have online play and get the free games every month and also get discounts in the PlayStation Store. But I don't know. There's no reason for premium right now for me, and also extra. There's more value in extra for me because they add a lot of newer games. They add more games to the extras catalog than they do to the classics. But once I play Prince of Persia, I don't know. I've had it for 2 years, and I've gone through a lot of the games that I want to play on the service. So even so much as I was playing Assassin's Creed Rogue Remake, as we remember a few months ago. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and bet on Sony adding games I want to play. If I see that, if they're adding a bunch of games I want to play, maybe I'll increase, what tier I'm in. But also them saying stuff like this, like, we'll adjust our pricing based on this. Well, I sure as fuck don't want to help you do that. Honestly. Like, that seems like something that should have been said out loud. Or maybe that's just me.
No, you're right.
Well, take into account our next story as well, because now not only are we getting price increases, not only are we dealing with that, but in January 2026, Sony will stop offering PS4 games as part of the key benefit of PlayStation Plus. So, and to me, it's an interesting aspect to say, yeah, I get it. Maybe you've offered all of the games. How about you just start cycling through for people who may not have had PS Plus at the time you offered some of those other games? And I know there's licensing stuff and third party is what it is, but you have plenty of first party stuff you can cycle through. Like, again, being able to just increase the value of your subscription by saying, yeah, we're not going to end this. People still play PS4. You can still play PS4 games on PS5. Why are you stopping offering PS4 games as of an arbitrary date to say, well, Maybe it takes up server space. Maybe we're not getting the biggest bang for our buck. You're taking away yet another feature. And again, you continue to raise the price on your subscription. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, this not only hits the people who are playing on PlayStation 4s and haven't gotten a PS5 yet, but also if you're a PS5 owner, some games do have, a PS4 and PS5 version. But sometimes we get games on the service that are just a PS4 game. So now you actually, as a PS5 owner that plays most of the PS4 games, now have fewer games as well. It's not just the PS4 people that are getting locked out of stuff.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does feel like, as part of our membership, we were getting a 4 and 5 games for free. And it's always a matter of time in the life cycle, because they did the same thing with 3 going to 4. But it does now feel like that in a way that those of us that have 5s, we're kind of getting robbed because, now we're not getting 4 games. Well, what did I do?
And again, there's no reason they can't just go back and start cycling through the old games that they offered. Yeah, they might deal with complaints saying, you offered this before. Yeah, but maybe not everybody was on PlayStation Plus at the time it was offered.
Or maybe you missed it. I know of a buddy of mine that he's got a 5, but he's not as big of a gamer now as the rest of us. And so unless we tell him, hey, did you check this out this month? He's missed some good stuff because he just, life was busy. So yeah, I don't disagree with that, Matt, that maybe there is a time where you start kind of recycling. Like, if you're going to take away the 4 games, obviously they are, then maybe they do something like that. Here is a PlayStation Plus Classic, or whatever you want to call it, and be like, here you go. Here's an old game that we offered once, and we're going to offer it again. I don't know. It's a good idea. I don't hate it.
There's a free one, Sony. Take it. Trust me. You'll win more friends than gain enemies.
And based on what it said in the Game Rant article that we're getting this from, this will affect both the Essentials tier and the Extra tier. So it affects not only the games you get monthly for free, but also like the Extras game catalog that, you're expected to pay more money for.
That you can download a la Game Pass. Yeah. That's, again, Sony abusing its market lead by making boneheaded decisions. But not a boneheaded decision, and something I personally have been waiting for, coming from Gamatsu, and they linked to a teaser from Konami and Bloober team to confirm that a Silent Hill remake is in development. As you know, Bloober team came out and did the very well received Silent Hill 2 remake. And I know Silent Hill 2 is everybody's darling Silent Hill game. My personal favorite is Silent Hill 1. And I don't know about you guys. I'm very excited for this, seeing what they did on Silent Hill 2, knowing that they could do the same thing for Silent Hill 1. I can't wait now.
Obviously, Konami looked at what Capcom did with Resident Evil and said, hey, that's a good idea. Let's do that with our own survival horror franchise, our biggest one. Which, I'm not going to criticize it for. It's a good thing. I think people really enjoyed the Silent Hill 2 remake. I'm not going to get on here and say like, oh yeah, this gets me so excited. I at one point wanted to play the Silent Hill 2 remake. It's passed up by now, and I don't really have the desire to play the Silent Hill 2 remake, so I guess maybe that's just a game series I'm never going to play. But, and I hate to say it, like, look, I love Dead Space, so it's not that I can't like a survival horror game, but I don't know. I enjoyed, not Resident Evil 6, I'm not going to say Resident Evil 6, I won't go there, but I enjoyed Resident Evil when it had a little bit of that action element and not just straight the survival horror. Like, I don't care about going back to play the original Resident Evils. I'm glad I played Resident Evil 4, but to be fair, there's also a reason why Resident Evil 4 is considered the peak Resident Evil. Even though people criticize Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 4 did move away from survival horror to go to also an action-y element too. So that kind of started the movement. Now Capcom went a little overboard with things, and now they've kind of righted the ship and they've gone back more towards their roots. But yeah, no, this is probably going to pass me by because I don't have any specific affinity for Silent Hill. But Bloober team did a really good job from all I can tell, on Silent Hill 2 remake, and so Konami brought him back. So we'll see how far they go with these Silent Hill remakes. I mean, honestly, Konami making good decisions after years of making bad decisions is something we can all be grateful for.
Yeah, at least hopefully they're not pulling more Ubisofts out there. Yield, any Silent Hill desire?
No, survivor horror is not my genre at all. But I am glad that they gave the team that, did the Silent Hill 2 remake and got such, rave reviews from the fans that they're giving them the opportunity to do another one. And people like you who enjoy those games are excited for it. So I hope they live up to the expectation of the franchise and what they've done to the previous game, that they, continue on an upward trend.
Matt, I got a question for you as someone who's played Silent Hill 2 Remake. So from what I've seen from the Resident Evil community, Resident Evil 4 Remake is now considered the ultimate Resident Evil game, which is not surprising, based on the most popular game in the series, but doing things even better somehow, 20 years later with better technology. Where does Silent Hill 2 stand? Is the remake better than the original, or do people still think the original is kind of, or the original Silent Hill 2 is kind of the top tier when it comes to Silent Hill?
So I haven't seen too much discourse to say one or the other. I can say people definitively enjoyed Silent Hill 2 Remake, and there's still that nostalgia for the original. And Bloober Team changed up some of the things, but not so much that it was a stark contrast to what happened in the first one. And there's really not enough out there to say that people are like, oh, this is trash decision, or this is the best thing ever. They just appreciate being able to play it in a modern system, in a modern way, with updated graphics, with little things that occur throughout the series of the game. So I can't say one way or another. I can say people enjoyed it. And I'm glad, because it seems like it was enough to get them a shot at remaking the first one, which really needs the most, because Silent Hill 2 was still playable, especially with its Silent Hill collection on PS3 and with some other recent releases. But Silent Hill 1, it's very dated with its control schemes, its graphics, everything. So hopefully they do it justice. Let's see. Oh, okay. So guess what time? It's time for listener questions. And with Tricky not being here this week, guess what? That's 2 weeks in a row you don't get the soundbite. Everybody celebrate.
Tricky's probably, he's not really sad he missed the show. He's most saddest that he can't play that soundbite to annoy people.
So coming through, the first question from Alex G. When is summer coming? It's mid-June and still wet and cold outside. I agree.
Next week, at least for here. I don't know if Alex has seen, but for our part of the country, it's next week.
I mean, our weather's been in the 70s and 80s. I mean, I'm not saying we've been spared the rain, because it's been rainy quite a bit, but heat-wise, here in the Ohio River Valley, it's been 75 to 85. We haven't gotten to the 90s or anything like that, but it's been mid-80s pretty regularly here, so I would say summer is here, if you ask me.
They're calling, if you want to believe it, the end of next week. I saw that we were pushing, starting the first day of summer, we're at 89, and we're in the 90s to 86 through the following Tuesday. So, sorry, not next week, the week after, the end of next week. We're really going to roll into summer. I've liked it so far. Don't get me wrong, like Alex said, living in the Ohio River Valley, these 70, low 80s, the humidity's kind of crept in and out. I'm perfectly okay with it, because when these 80s and 90s get here, it's going to suck.
We've had 90s recently, but this just makes me more and more concerned, because back in October of this year, it was fucking like 90 degrees in October. I'm like, okay, this is a real fucking problem now, because I'm used to bitter cold in October, snow one year during my birthday. I was like, could we get some shit back on order for October being brisk? Because yeah, I'm over this rainy shit, but also New Jersey needs the rain because we keep getting fucking wildfires, which is a nightmare, at least in my business. Will has 2 Switch 2 questions, of which the first one here is, what is your one gripe about the Switch 2? And I know you guys really can't answer. So Joe Priestley jumps in and talks about the battery being trash. That's certainly one thing. I think my biggest thing is, again, despite the screen looking great for an LCD screen, the fact that they didn't just release an OLED just tells me, again, Nintendo's going to get greedy and release an OLED model later for people to buy into. So that's my biggest thing. The screen looks great, but it's not OLED. And that's really my biggest gripe. And I'm going to loop in Will's second question with the topic of our week. And his question is, what percentage of the US Switch 2 sales do you believe are scalpers? And the reason I brought this up, and I put it in the topic of the week here, is because Nintendo released, and this was relevant to the conversation Alex and I had last week, was Nintendo Switch 2 sells over 3.5 million units worldwide in the first 4 days. I just like to say these are the numbers I was looking for, because there were many haters out there who said the reason why the Nintendo Switch 2 was still available on the shelves was because nobody wanted it, because the software was trash and too expensive. And here we are, Nintendo breaking records with 3.5 million units in the first 4 days, beating out even, I think it was the PlayStation 4 that did the 1 million units in 24 hours. Nintendo did a lot of that in the first 24 hours. So here I am calling it the most successful console launch of all time, at least in recorded history. Anybody disagree?
No.
I mean, I think the numbers seem to back that up. I don't have every console launch in front of me, but I mean, it definitely seems, and to a degree, like not just sales, but the fact that they had so many available. I know that there are, different considerations for each console launch, different, availability of supplies, but it seems like Nintendo successfully, maybe for the first time or one of the few times I can remember, actually got out consoles for most of the people who wanted to buy them right away. Not saying everybody, but I think we had a comment from somebody on the show last week, or somebody wrote in or something, or made a comment on the Facebook thread that basically if you didn't get one, you didn't really try.
That was Joe Priestley.
Okay. I thought it was good old
honestly,
Joe P.
Yeah, and the thing is, I actually helped him out. So I was able to get 4 Switch units, which was crazy. 2 pre-ordered back in April.
All he's going to do is play Hyrule Warriors.
Which is exactly what he posted in the Trophy Horse group. Which I will say, Hyrule Warriors on the Switch 2 plays massively better than what it did on the Switch 1. So I got 2, the Walmart and the Target order. For me and Kalai. And then the day of, because Target was not getting delivered in time, I got one from Verizon, of all places. And then I got one from Costco. So I got me, V, Kalai, and then I little bit of a cluster here was I originally offered it to Tricky. Tricky was like, when do I have to make a decision? I go, well, within the return period. And then Joe messaged me and was like, hey, I want your extra Switch too. I have cash. I go, it's already promised to somebody else. I did not say. And then I went to Tricky. I said, hey, do you have a decision on this Switch too? I have somebody else who might want it. And he goes, give it to them. Okay. And then Joe Priestley gives me a shout out on his page, and Tricky's like, if I had known you were giving it to Joe Priestley, I would have taken it. Because that's the type of friends we are.
Right.
So Joe says, yeah, if you didn't get one, it's because you didn't try or you didn't want one. And it's, there's still stories of people walking in and being like, oh, there it is on the shelf. I'll go pick it up. How long did we have to wait for the Wii to be available just regularly in shop? And that was 2006. No COVID, no pandemic, no nothing. And then obviously PS5 and Xbox, you saw what that was like during the pandemic and the chip shortage. I just think Nintendo took all of those lessons learned and rolled it into a very successful launch. And to answer Will's question, probably about 30%, 40% are being scalpers, because eBay and Facebook still have them listed for like $600-$700, which is insane to me.
I haven't. I've saw the pictures floating around Facebook of people saying there were a bunch of them in Walmarts and stuff, and I just haven't made it to town to actually walk in and be like, is this true?
I mean, I've been to Target and Walmart since, and I haven't seen them. But also, I keep seeing news about restocks and that they're continue to sell. So it seems like so part of it is the rumors that you heard beforehand was that Nintendo stocked warehouses in the US locally to make sure they beat out whatever the tariff situation was, and that they had them there. So stores got their allotment, and maybe they're just spreading them out. Once they saw that they sold out, they're like, okay, restock where possible. Because it can't be that we're suddenly getting all these shipments in through the ports and they're making it out to stores as fast as they are. That's my theory.
Makes sense.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll see an influx of returns if people decide that scalpers aren't the way they want to go. But I still hold that $450 for the console being $150 more than the original Switch launched for, adjusted for inflation, not that much more than what the original Switch would have been launching today as priced, is good, offers what it has for it, has good tech. And yeah, the battery shit. The LCD is beautiful. It's not OLED, but it's still beautiful. It's a bigger screen and better kickstand. It's nice. It's a nice upgrade to the Switch. And so, no, it's not.
Go ahead and finish your thought.
No, it's not a Switch Pro like everybody keeps saying, the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. Yeah.
Does the bigger screen and the more tech, is that some of the reason why in your opinion, the reason why the battery life isn't as good? It was. Do you think it was by design that the battery life isn't as good as the Switch, or is it because you got a bigger screen, so there's more power. It's more tech, so it's just. I'm going to say oversight. That may not be the word that I'm looking for. An oversight that the battery's not as good as the original Switch.
In all of the teardown videos I've seen, there is not a lot of room in that Switch, because even though the screen is bigger, the console itself is bigger, they still kept it the same thickness of the original Switch. So there wasn't a lot of room for them to play or try to fit in an extra, or I should say a larger size battery. But it's Nintendo. I assume, because you also have people come from the OLED, which naturally has a better battery life because of the nature of the screen. So it's not the greatest. Like if I'm playing Mario Kart World in handheld, if I play for, a half hour, I probably dip about 20% in the battery. It's not the greatest, but I'm used to it with my Steam Deck. I'm used to it with the original Switch. I always have a battery with me if I know I'm going to be out somewhere for an extended period of time, that I'm not going to be near a wall plug. So I'm prepared. They've got charging cases out there. They've got extra big batteries you can bring. As I said, I already bring one for my Steam Deck. But yeah, it's more power hungry. It's got a faster processor. It's got, higher VRAM and more computing power overall. So yeah, it all translates to, it's probably around the same size battery or maybe a little bit bigger, but the power consumption is there.
Was there?
So
okay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody say that. I just heard everybody say that the battery life was crap. And I immediately thought to myself, that doesn't seem like a Nintendo oversight. There's got to be a reason. And that makes sense. If it's the same thickness and the same size, then obviously they couldn't put in a bigger or a thicker battery because they had to, they didn't want to make the console bigger or thicker. So you put all the tech in there, something's got to give, and they chose battery.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it's again the weakness, but the battery life, you'll hear stories about them saying, oh, it's worse than the original Switch. Well, no, it's not. It's about the same estimate of 2 to 6 hours, depending on the type of software you're playing. And, with a screen that does variable refresh rate up to 120 hertz at 1080p as opposed to the original 720p, it's bigger, better, and therefore still power hungry. And they'll release revisions and so on and so forth. It's a Nintendo, or I should say, it's a console maker. We know that that's what they do these days. So it's I'll take it, the good and the bad. I'm just happy that they put a charging port on the top as well as the bottom, so I can put it in tabletop mode and charge it.
So here's something I just thought of. So like with Sony, and I'm going to take a guess with Xbox as well. With their controllers, they can put out an update, which I think they have before, that helps with battery life. Is it feasible that Nintendo can do that eventually with the Switch 2? Or no, you got what you've got, and until they do a revision down the line with a better battery, you're stuck.
I'm not so inclined to believe that they can just push out a firmware update and make it that it's better. If anything, maybe you get 10% better performance through whatever improved algorithms or power consumption controls. It has to be a new model for them to actually get significant battery life, battery power consumption out of it. Maybe they adjust fans or processing power, processing algorithms. Outside of that, I don't see them doing a massive upgrade.
Okay. I just thought something that popped in my head I thought I would ask.
Alex, any final thoughts before we close this one up?
No, I mean, as far as the Switch goes, it seems like, it's, Nintendo was extremely successful with the Wii, and that kind of burned out. And we saw with the Wii U, where it feels like the Wii U is completely unnecessary, even though, some people who liked it or who bought it liked it. And so, there were some good games on there, but the transition from and the excitement from the Switch to the Switch 2 has been a lot better and burned a lot brighter. So you would have to imagine that a lot of people that bought the Switch are going to be in for the Switch 2. As far as the battery life goes, what do you really, yes, it's a portable / home console, but still, first and foremost, it's a home console. So the battery life, the battery life on these machines is never going to be what we want them to be because, you're playing, sometimes, I'm not going to say highly intensive games, but you're playing games for however long. Do you really expect them to last for 10, 20 hours? No. You don't want them to run out like, say, the AA batteries and the 6 AA batteries in a fucking Game Gear did, but 6 hours honestly seems reasonable to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's meant to be played. It can be played either way, but to me, it still is meant to be played docked. And Nintendo isn't going to put some high-end, super amazing battery in there when they allow you to play both ways. They're going to allow you to play, in handheld mode, but to me, the first option is always going to be on the TV. That's where it's going to be. So it doesn't surprise me that people complain about the battery life. Could it always be better? Yeah, you would hope so, but does Nintendo really have an incentive to make the battery life better? No.
No, and it kind of actually goes back to a way of the scalpers. It's like, they only broke the records because so many scalpers bought them. Well, Nintendo just counts sales. They don't care who it's sold to. They count that it's sold.
Right. For as far as Nintendo cares, they got their money. So
to that effort, it's like, listen, we put the biggest battery we could in here. You figure out how you're going to charge it. Like, that's not our problem anymore. But you can obviously take it that they did it on the first Switch. They'll do it on this one. Every console manufacturer comes out with console revisions, and it's just the way of it. I'm just waiting. I'm calling it ahead of time. People are gonna rip Nintendo a new one because they're like, oh, look at that, they're releasing a revision already. Yeah, and you know what? You had the PS5 Slim, you had the PS5 Pro. You're going to continue seeing console makers make revisions, and it's just going to add to the sales.
Switch 2 Lite.
Yeah. They will continue doing their Nintendo thing, and you know what? They're going to be successful for it.
How many people do you think would buy another revision of the Switch if it just had a better battery life? Do you think that's something the market would ask for? If people might be pissed, but if they sold that, I guarantee people would buy it.
I think it depends on the time. If you remember the original Switch, it was about 2 years, I think, that they did the revision that with the bigger battery. But the not so secret motivation for that was somebody had hacked the original Switch using the hardware as a way in, and Nintendo couldn't do anything except revise the hardware to cut that one out. So that was a way that they did it, by saying, all right, well, here's version 2. And that it has, whatever built in.
I forgot. You're right. They jailbroke it.
Yeah. And it was because it was like a fuse or some other hardware component that allowed them to jump the process. And Nintendo was like, well, shit, we can't firmware that out. It's literally a hardware revision. And I think because of the time it took from the original Switch to the new version, what happened was technology got better, they got tighter, they could reduce some things, and that allowed them to make room for the bigger battery in the V2. I assume we're going to see the same thing here with the Switch 2. The question is, what's the timeline look like? Nobody knows. Alrighty, well, that said, that brings us to the end of episode 676. We are going to go to our shout-outs. Yield, since you've missed a couple weeks, you're going shout-outs first.
So, shout out to Matt and Alex for recording this evening. Shout out to Tricky, who's doing his tricky things. Shout out to my co-op group, Homer Get Stuff to Bring 76, Nitro, and Prepare to Die Scum for our Payday and our Helldivers. Also for RoadCraft, we've Nitro and Prepare to Die Scum and myself have been working on some RoadCraft together as well, playing multiplayer. Oh, and I got my brother to buy that game on halfway through the but halfway through the first tutorial map. He was like, I took it to his house yesterday as of recording, and I was like, here, man, this is the best way for you to find out if you're going to like this game. Try it. And halfway through the first map, he's like, how much is this game? I'm so buying it. And he bought it. So that made me feel kind of good. Shout out to Monster and Monster for Star Trekker. I absolutely love it. It was a surprise drop for me, or release for me, coming to PlayStation. So I'm thrilled with that. I hope to dive more into it this week and give you guys a better take of it, if you so desire. Shout out to all the pimps in the mountains of the Whoredom. Thank you for downloading, listening, interacting with us either on social media or through other games. Shout out to Gareth for his trophy rarity competition that he does for the community. It's a lot of extra work that he does, and I greatly appreciate it. It's fun. It's something for the community to rally together, so to speak, and root each other on. So it's fun. That'll do it for me this week. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Excellent. Thank you. Alex?
I want to give a shout out to our awesome community, the fuel to the fire, this Trophy Horse, our listeners, everybody. Thank you all very much for continuing to support us. It means everything. Shout out to Matt and Yield for joining me this week. Also shout out to Tricky. Please get back from Egypt safely. Also want to give a shout out to Will for his artwork every week. Thanks for helping us out, Will. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hon. And that is going to be it for me.
All right. Shout out to you, gents, for recording. Shout out to Tricky for doing his recruitment across the seas. Hope you make it back safely. Shout out to our fans. Shout out to our listeners. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Make sure to go to channel3.gg. Next week, actually, and by next week, I mean the weekend of the 21st and 22nd, they are hosting their official first ever C3 Con in Ohio, in-person meeting of all the Channel 3 people. So hope you have fun out there. I unfortunately will not be able to get there. Shout out to my wife V for everything she does. And with that, folks, happy hunting.
Later.
See ya.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.